Hello, my name is Makasy. I hope the title makes sense. We're talking about a lot of things today. Here's the other title that I'm running if you were curious. My channel has grown a lot lately due to the Stray 2K boots, and I also poke fun at the Avant Garde community on my Instagram. Some of them has not taken it that well. This has made me more reflective, specifically from the psychological point of view. So we're going to try to see why a lot of these fashion enthusiasts are so elitist, has such high degree of superiority complex, has a very cynical view of other aesthetics or brands. Sadly, we have to talk about gatekeeping, but hopefully I brought something new to the table on the topic. If not, my apologies. In this video, I would like to psychoanalyze the avant-garde consumers, try to see why a lot of them are so cynical. I came up with some reason through my observation and personal experience. I then Googled to try to see what psychological concepts are associated with them. This is one of my better videos for sure, might be my magnum opus. In this article right here, Martha Meeklin, I'm sorry pronouncing your name wrong, defined it as originally hailing from military jargon, France I believe by the way. Avant-garde denotes the vanguard, the troops advancing first into battle in fashion. This forward-thinking mindset manifests through experimental, innovative, and unconventional designs. Challenging traditional boundaries and convention, its goal is to forge new perspectives and means of expression, standing in contrast to mainstream currents. Historically, the avant-garde encompasses a variety of movements for the 19th and 20th century that questioned established aesthetic and social norm and committed themselves to progress. My definition: providing an alternative view to an established aesthetic born out of frustration and intolerance toward what they perceive as too narrow-minded and not inclusive enough, not opposing or agreeing to trend, but rather existing alongside the mainstream without ever joining. If the mainstream ever happened to use one of their avant-garde design language, it's still doing its own thing. Mainstream brand will move on, but the avant-garde brand will continue this. There's this concept called estuary, which is when a freshwater river meets the sea, the saltwater sea or ocean. The river is aware of what is going on in the big ocean, but it kind of does its own thing. Again, don't question the logic behind this. Don't get lost in the sauce. Out of all the avant-garde fashion, I am most familiar with where we're going, so let's focus there.
The clothes that I made are barbaric and inhuman, and they mock conventional standards of beauty, but also they mock the current situation that we're in.
Rick's goal with his clothes has always been to provide an alternative to what the mainstream fashion has for people.
There's this thing that I call airport beauty, where we all are forced to walk through this gauntlet of airport perfume ads. Our standard, it has become our standard of aspiration and beauty. And it can be very narrow, and it can be a bit cruel. And I resent that a little bit. I resent being bombarded with this standard. I am hoping that I can provide some alternatives and some other options.
We should also look into the concept of anti-fashion because it's very similar to the definition of avant-garde. Martha also touched upon this. Great article, go read it. Anti-fashion represents a movement or mindset in fashion that consciously opposes the prevailing trends, norm, and conventions of the fashion industry. It critiques the superficiality, consumerism, and ephemeral nature of contemporary fashion. This movement eschews the commercial fashion industry and its cycles, questioning the significance and value of fashion in society. Anti-fashion seek more authentic, individualistic expression, setting itself apart from the mainstream fashion as a critical commentary and counterculture. Please do provide me with your own definition of avant-garde in the comments if you can. It's super easy to throw around terms like avant-garde, architectural, tailored clothes in conversation, but actually defining it is super tough. Took me a few days to come up with my own, so tell me in the comment what avant-garde means to you. This is all fairly opinionated to me. Rick Owens, Vivian Westwood, Yoji Yamamoto, Comme des Garçons, and the Millimeter, Raph Simon. We can argue early years and later years. Another video, macro view. Don't get lost in the sauce. Boris, Leon Emmanuel Blanc, Alexander McQueen, Iris Van Herpen, Walter Van Berenberg, Guidi, MA+, Ziggy Chen, Deep T, Elena Dawson, Paul Harden Shoemaker. While yes, there's still a business, they make clothes with a purpose other than to simply make money, like Louis Vuitton of the world. Again, fairly subjective. Everyone has their own definition, and who can fit into this definition. Originally, I had the word cynicism big and bolded in my brainstorming session, but I later revived the title to superiority complex because it encompasses the word cynicism in there. But here's a few definitions because we will touch upon it. These two MD wrote a really good definition of superiority complex. Let's read it together. Superiority complex were first identified by Alfred Adler, an early psychologist, in his theories of individual psychology. He defined superior complexes as a reaction to deep feeling of inferiority. The idea behind the theory of individual psychology is that everyone is trying to overcome a sense of inferiority. According to this theory, some people react by working hard to master skills and complete achievements. However, people with strong feelings of inferiority have a hard time convincing themselves that they have actually achieved enough. To compensate, Adler argued that these people play up their accomplishment and opinions to make themselves feel better. Other psychologists argue that some people with superiority complex may not be consciously hiding low self-esteem. Instead, these people genuinely believe that they are more successful than others despite a lack of evidence. This is the difference from a sense of confidence because these people have not actually had past successes that support their beliefs. The second definition, a superiority complex means that a person has an exaggerated opinion of their abilities and accomplishments. This may behave in a way that suggests they believe they are better than other people. However, a person with a superior complex may actually be trying to mask, hide, or overcompensate for their feeling of inferiority. When Adler first began exploring individual psychology, he believed that a superior complex may begin in childhood. He theorized that a person's upbringing could lay the groundwork for feeling of inferiority. This could cause them to feel the need to overcompensate when they reach school age, thus creating the superiority complex. While a person with superiority complex may appear to have boasted attitude, they are simply trying to cover up their feelings of inferiority. Superiority complex, let's just say SC from now, manifests itself through elitism and condescension. Through the memes, we can see that the Avant Garde brands are at the end of hell, the deepest state you can reach in your fashion journey, so the individual perceived it as the best form of fashion. What if we as society collectively flip the switch and have hypebeasts at the end of this meme? Would these Avant Garde elitists still choose CCP, Rick, Boris, Julius, Yogi, or would they choose Supreme, Palace, and ALD? I think they would, because to some, it's not about the clothes, it's about letting everyone know that they're better than them. It's status signaling. When I posted my CCP content on here and Instagram, a lot of them were not fans, a lot of hate comments, not a lot, a few hate comments. I even have long-term haters. Every time I post something, they got something negative to say. So to them, hello, welcome back. We'll talk about my Instagram further at the end, but for now, let's talk leaving negative comments. I found a concept called online disinhibition effect. It says, while online, some people self-disclose or act out more frequently or intensely than they would in person. This article explores 6 factors that interact with each other in creating this online disinhibition effect. Dissociative anonymity, invisibility, asynchronicity, I can't pronounce most of these words, solipsistic introjection, dissociative imagination, and minimization of authority. Thank you, John, for that. It boils down to you can say any negative shit with a fake account, so there's no accountability to be had, no real consequences. We'll touch upon projection, insecurity, tribalism, social comparison, seeking validation, echo chamber, emotional catharsis, which is a word I learned from the roast of James Franco, by the way. This is why people leave negative comment. Macroly speaking, don't get lost in the sauce. I will generalize a few bits to keep this video short, but you can see by the length I already failed there. Healthy individual, when they see content they don't like, they simply go past it. To leave a hateful comment is a lot of work. If happy individuals wouldn't leave hateful comment, it must mean that these elitists are not happy. Elitists are not happy. If they are secure in who they are, why do they feel the need to mock and belittle other people? It must mean they're insecure. By the way, I see superior complex as a spectrum, not is or isn't. A lot of people who suffer from high level of superiority complex fear being ordinary, uninformed, normal, fear others might not think they are smart. I were greedy. I must know what good year wealth it is. I have to know what object dying it is all the time. If I don't, people will not look too fondly at me. When I see people not knowing these terms, I will make fun of them. This way, I prove to this bozos and every onlookers that I am smart, I am informed, I am not like the masses. Our Avant Garde fans turned to the brand we listed earlier because we were not connecting to the mainstream brands anymore. We seek more. I grew up in a really Buddhist country. When I discovered that I was atheist, I flipped hard. I made fun of anyone and everyone who believed in religion. I would study about Islam, Christianity, Buddhism, point out all of its bad parts. I was on the extreme end. I'm better now, I'm not that cynical anymore. Zen, baby, zen. When these individuals who suffer from SE get into the world of CCP, Guidi, Rig, Yoji, they overcorrect themselves. They feel the need to teach the people who are into mainstream brand about Avant Garde, but not in a sense of hopefully converting these individuals to Avant Garde fan, but to put them down and get a high from being superior. They feel the need to let these people know that they are simply sheeps following the line that is drawn by the mainstream, and that they are superior. While I was in my early age of atheism, I studied hard on religions and their fallacies because I fear being called out. I fear someone telling me that I hate on something I don't even fully understand, so I studied up. I feared being exposed. This is why I say that individuals who buys rep are more knowledgeable about products than people who buy genuine product. They need to know whether the R in the rec is 0.1 millimeter bigger or smaller. The anxiety of being called out, it's very real. Anyway, these individuals constantly need to assert dominance by putting others people down, tearing these mainstream fashion enjoyers down so they never become the target themselves. Similar to imposter syndrome, but with IS, it's more about feeling the need to prove to others that they are capable. But when you blend the imposter syndrome with superiority complex, they let it out in a way that is very negative. Obscurity is a currency in the avant-garde scene. It provides goodwill or is a form of capital among the community to these individuals. Oh, you're only into Rick and you think he's the god of avant-garde? Well, actually, it's Carol. Some other guy would say, well, actually, it's Joji. Well, actually, it's Paul Hartman, and so on and so on. Wow, you like Carol, but you don't know didnt? Well, did you know didnt was a designer for many years at CCP? I know more than you. I am better than you. A lot of these avant-garde enthusiasts engage in conversation not to teach, but to assert their intellectual dominance. Now, some of you might have gotten mad at me because you're one of the positive one. Obviously, I am only talking about a few bad eggs. Think Islam and ISIS. I'm only talking about the extremists among a super carefree and forgiving religion, but oftentimes, these extreme voices often shape outside perception, even when they don't represent the whole community. Now you're probably thinking, really, Makasy? Comparing elitist gatekeepers of the avant-garde scene to ISIS? I know, it's not fair to ISIS. They're a bit more friendly to newcomers. Oh my god, you wear CCP USOs, but you thought it's the same as Tornado? Disposal doesn't know that USO is one piece leather and Tornado is multiple. Let's make fun of him. One of my favorite channels on here is called Studio Binder. They make great content. Go check it out. Here's what they have to say about the allegory of the cave. The allegory begins with prisoners who have lived their entire life chained inside a cave. Behind the prisoner is a fire, and between the fire and the prisoner are people carrying puppets or other objects. These cast shadows on the opposite wall. The prisoner watches these shadows, believing this to be their reality as they know nothing else. Plato posits that one prisoner could become free. He finally sees the fire and realizes that the shadows are fake. The prisoner could escape from the cave and discover there's a whole new world outside of what they were previously unaware of. This prisoner would believe the outside world is so much more real than in the cave. He would try to return to free other prisoners. Upon his return, he is blinded because his eyes are not accustomed to actual sunlight. The chained prisoner would see this blindness and believe they will be harmed if they try to leave the cave. The avant-garde community believe itself to be the enlightened ones when compared to the sheep or ignorant mainstream consumers. Oh my god, you call the Supreme and North Face jacket your grail? You're so unenlightened. Such poor taste. You don't know better, huh? Oh my god, you don't think the topic of clothes is a serious topic and you treat fashion as a fun hobby where you don't actively seek out how a jacket is made, where it's made, who it's made, when it's made. Loser, I am better. These people have this deep disdain toward mainstream fashion and anyone who engages in them. Rather than educating or talking to them like regular human beings, they mock the mainstream fan for only seeing the shadow and thinking that's all there is. I know the truth. I will only share their knowledge to individuals who have been outside of the cave. When one of the few newcomers are curious about avant-garde, about Rick, CCP, Guidi, the responses are never, okay, read this, go here, do that, do this. It's more, you wouldn't get it. You're not intellectual enough to get it. Stick to what you know. It is such a common concept in avant-garde, I don't think I need to define it, let's just get into it. Why do they feel the need to gatekeep? Once again, I'm talking about the ISIS of the avant-garde scene. I've met a lot of great individuals in the avant-garde scene who have helped me learn so much about this community. We talk about our love for fashion. We share information. We share our joy when one person finally get what they wanted. We share the misery when one item is stuck in custom and they have to pay extra. It's a very wholesome community, but you have to get past the ices of the world to see the light. Think a really douchey and mean bouncer to a really nice club. First thing we gotta talk about, exclusivity. Avant Garde is niche in nature. In order to remain small, you can't have too many members. Think of a cult. A small cult is cool and fun to be in. You can brag about it. Being part of a bigger cult like Christianity and Islam is not that cool. It's actually more, why aren't you? See that was the old Makasy with his atheist agenda BS jumping out. Let's look at Rick Owens. Once was super niche, now it's the face of avant-garde fashion to the general public. This is due to rappers, celebrity wearing it, exposing the brand more to the masses. I've seen comments such as, yeah, I'm not into Rick anymore. I got too mainstream. I see them too much. I see celebrities. I don't like wearing it. I move on to Boris, to Julius, to CCP now. It's more niche. It's more underground. Let's look at social identity theory, which was proposed by Henry Toshfeld, I'm sorry pronouncing your name wrong, and John Turner back in the 70s. It posits that individuals derive a portion of their self-concept from their membership in social group. I'm going to use Harry as an example because my girl Carla loved the series. After you get sorted into the house, you ingratiate yourself into the houses and its values. Okay, Ravenclaw, we're all about being smart and creative. Let's hone in on those skills, on those values. We're not part of Slytherin, so we don't gotta focus on ambition and evil shit. Once that is done, you start to compare your group to others. Henry and John believe that the person will favor their own group more when they compare themselves to others. They claim this is the key to understanding prejudice because Gryffindors will always look at Slytherin as their enemy and vice versa. Their values, they don't align. The theory talks more about in-group favoritism, stereotyping, prejudice, intergroup conflict, belonging, and blah 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 blah, but I believe I talk enough to further my point. I hope anyway. CCP has the stereotype of being elitist and dicks to other groups. People who share this tendency will sort themselves into the CCP community. Some people who don't have an elitist attitude will form an elitist attitude because of the echo chamber they are in when they get into CCP. We'll talk about this later. By keeping information behind a wall, avant-garde fans feel that their group's identity is preserved. It's hard to assess newcomers. It's a lot easier to just gatekeep and keep the status quo, which, by the way, is the antithesis of avant-garde in the first place. Rick has said multiple times he makes clothes for people who don't feel they are included or thought of by the mainstream fashion. Yet some of his fans are now gatekeeping this safe community from people Rick is trying to save. Hypocrite. The fact is, gatekeeping has become such a defining feature of avant-garde fashion that people feel they must upkeep this attitude. I did a bit of that too when I got into it. I learned and got better. Most haven't. You know who else thought about keeping people out so the community is pure? The McPoyles, or Hitler and his obsession with the Aryan race. Do you want to be Hitler, you dicks? Actually, don't answer that. I fear a lot more than will say yes than we anticipated. I talked a bit about commercialization already. I used Rick as an example. If too many people know about Rick, wear too much Rick, the scarcity effect fade away more and more. If you don't know, it's the cognitive bias that makes people place a higher value on an item that is scarce and lower one that is too available. Rick is still a business. If the people on the business sides of Rick see an item selling well, they will release more of that. To these people, they can't have too many kiss boots or GeoBasket. It will dilute the value of the brand and the items. When the kiss boot first released, everyone wanted them. I've seen people move away from the kiss boot to the Bowgun or some other boots now because they think the kiss boot has gotten too mainstream. Some people love the concept of gatekeeping so much they make it their personality. Think New Yorkers, Parisians, Californians, when all they talk about is where they're from. They see themselves liking and wearing Rick, Guidi, CCP as a marker for having superior taste. Let's connect it to the mindset of I had to struggle, so do you. These elitist terrorists are constantly weighing the option of whether or not to engage in a friendly conversation with newcomers or if they should put on their elitist attitude. If the newcomer says the name Carol Christian Powell wrong, they feel they are better, so they put on the voice. If they say it right, their Instagram has the avant-garde aesthetic, they will be more friendly. So let's start from the beginning. If they perceive someone to have an easier time entering this exclusive community, they often feel envious, a bit jealous, a sense that they want everyone else to experience the hardship that they had to enter this exclusive community. When I was young, we only had one website teaching us avant-garde fashion. We only have the Style Side Guys forum to talk. Now there are too many information or too readily available, which I'm gonna cry about because kids now they have it easier than me. Blah 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 blah. With the CCP community and my experience with them, I didn't start off by acquiring the lower tiers items. I jumped straight to the CCPU, so the kangaroo jacket. The people who had these items had to wait years, decades even. So when they see me get it seemingly easier than them, they resent that fact. Then you get fans of CCP who don't have CCP, who are actively still saving up for their first tornado boots. They see me jumping tiers, so they get resentful. I know this because I felt the same way. When I first got into RAF, I would see people wearing Raf Simon and Fred Perry, and I would have this dick-ass attitude that, hey man, that's not RAF, that's collab RAF. As if it's not RAF. I know the feeling. The I had to struggle, so do you belief is that life should be fair. This is why you get these boomers vetoing student loan forgiveness. I had to pay, so do these zoomers. I spent 5 years saving up, working hard, studying up on the LM2599G, and I still don't have it. Yet this dickhead just got into CCP and already own it. Too easy. It's not fair. I completely understand that, but I don't become cynical from it. I simply become indifferent. Took me years to acquire my first rig piece because it was expensive. A rich person just got it. Their life doesn't affect me. These elitist guys though, they cannot let that go. They have to say something negative. This is probably due to their own personal frustration in how they don't think the world is fair and just because that happened. Look at status anxiety, which state that one may be stuck or not be able to move up in life, or worries that one may be too low in stand in compared to society standards. Status anxiety is believed to be exacerbated by economic inequality. We can go on and talk about the fear of replacement and fear of personal failures. We can look at basketball, for example. When LeBron was first drafted, a lot of people were envious at the attention he was getting. Analysts saying he's the best player ever without having to step foot on the floor yet.
We have better players than him in his position already on our team, bro.
I don't think you can really just bring a high school player in and really just think your team gonna really turn around like that. If he come, you know what I'm saying, he can just hop on our bandwagon.
Seeing someone else succeed faster make them feel like they've lost because it's not an absolute, it's relative to others. We can talk about meritocracies and the idea of deserving it. You ever seen those incels talking about how they are so much nicer to women? They deserve these women, yet they don't. These women choose the dumb bodybuilder, the crypto guys. Though the incels, they become cynical and hate all women. It's a bit like that. When longtime enthusiasts see newcomers enter the community faster and easier, when they see me acquire this amazing Rick Owens piece, this Squeedy piece, this CCP piece, they think it's unfair. They don't think I struggle as hard as they did, so I don't deserve it. I destroyed their idea of meritocracy, which is fucking bullshit, by the way. When we're talking about high fashion, it has always been about money. Yes, you can dress super well without money, but in order to acquire amazing pieces, grail-worthy pieces, you need money. There is no meritocracy in high fashion. In avant-garde fashion especially, the items are priced super high. It is not my fault that I married a rich woman who provided me with all of these amazing pieces and you didn't. I'm sorry you couldn't dupe a beautiful and rich woman into marrying you, and I did. We talk about scarcity, so let's tackle it from another perspective. These terrorists think there is a limited amount of seats at the table. They think if someone else gets to sit, another person has to get up because you know, they arbitrarily put a fake number up in their head. Can't let the community get too big, then it's not cool anymore. It is not a zero-sum game. We can all enjoy avant-garde fashion. They fear that if enough people come into Rick, Guidi, or CCP, the brand won't be cool, the brand won't be underground anymore. This is why a lot of Capital fans are not fans of the LVMH purchase. I talk about that in another video. It's a great video, go watch it. With the CCP example, it was not fair for me to start off my collection of CCP with the U-Soul and LM2599G. I shouldn't have access to those items yet. I haven't been in the community long enough. Our avant-garde fan is about being in the know, being niche, being exclusive. That statement is not exclusive to money either, but also mindset. The harder it is to get, the better it feels to own it. I talk about how the chase is the best part in another video, go watch it. Items that are easy to get cannot be classified as grail. Money, accessibility, availability has to play a role in pushing an item to grail status. This Raf Simon hoodie was one highly sought after. Raf re-released it in the 25th anniversary Redux. Now they're not so sought after. The community now values others' hoodies from the same collection or nearby collections. It got too easy to acquire, so it lost its luster to some people, which is fair. I don't agree with that, but I see where they're coming from. Avant-garde is about embracing products that Gen Pop has never heard of. However, when they got into the community, when they realized that they're not that unique and other people share the same taste, bar for bar, the MA Plus belt, If they own Greedy, best believe they got this belt. If they got Rick, best believe they got this belt. If they got CCP, and you know it's dangling out of their outfits. As these elitist ISIS journey towards achieving individualism, they often become disillusioned when they realize it's harder to truly stand apart when even the niche item has a group of people wanting them. This will lead them to be more cynical. They can't tell people who owns it to, not own it anymore. The next best thing is gatekeep. Make sure no new people get their hands on these items. The Avant Garde community often look down on hypebeasts because their community is constantly chasing the it item to wear, the Supreme, the Louis Vuitton. They, however, the ISIS, forget that they are also chasing it items. The Kiss boot, Uso boots, Rick down jacket, Greedy, Capital Borrow jacket, the Yoji leather jacket, the Raf Archive parka, the Raf Archive hoodie, the CCP leather jacket. The Avant Garde community has so much more in common with the hypebeast community, but they refuse to admit it. They don't want to admit it. I know the Avant Garde community mocks the hypebeast community. You know it. I did it. I don't anymore, but it's so common. Oh my god, you wear a Supreme North Face jacket? Hypebeast, sheep, simply following trends. They then turn to wanting, the Kiss boot, the CCP boot that we talked about earlier, the MA belt. These items, they're also trendy objects, simply trending on a smaller scale due to the size of the avant-garde scene. No one started their fashion journey straight in the avant-garde scene. We all started at mall brands and then streetwear, higher and higher, the meme, This is the desire to distance themselves from their past self out of embarrassment. Without a proper degree of self-awareness, they forget that when they're making fun of these hypebeasts, they're also making fun of their past selves. Without proper self-awareness, their months or years of yearning for a hype-ass jacket like this one is so similar to a hypebeast yearning for a Louis Vuitton varsity jacket. Self-serving bias is a cognitive or perpetual process that is distorted by the need to maintain and enhance self-esteem or the tendency to perceive oneself in an overtly favorable manner. They think their success is their own doing. Their failures, however, are caused by external forces. Think Trump supporter and blaming immigrants for their failures, or this British dude.
I can't get a job. They come to this country and they can just get a job just like that.
So when you apply, what do they say to you?
Well, I've got a criminal record. Assault.
By the way, I know I'm poking the bear. I'm kind of goading them into commenting more hate comment. I'm comparing them to ISIS, the Trump supporter, to the Tories. They're gonna get quite angry. If the shoe fits, that's on you. That's not on me. If my points make you feel angry, what does that say about you? I didn't say anyone's name. I'm speaking in macro terms. So we established that both these groups have their tendency to want items that are hard to get. Accessibility, availability, or price points, all of these matters. Oh, but the Yoji jacket I want is from the 1990s. The hypebeasts want this more graphic logo heavy jacket from Supreme. It's different. Apply this to any product from Rick, CCP, Guidi, Deep T, Paul. You are so different from the mainstream, you are so niche, yet you still want certain items that have achieved grail status on the niche community or in the niche community. They over-intellectualize their purchase or without complex justification while thinking hypebeasts only buy products because they're cool and wanted by the mass. What if the hypebeasts have as many justifications as you? Rejecting trend is a trend. Jack W. Brem proposed a theory called reactant theory. According to the NIH, reactant, the motivation to regain a freedom after it has been lost or threatened, leads people to resist the social influence of others. An example, my wife and I recently purchased the Togo couch. I've seen comments such as, while I love the Togo, it has become too popular, too mainstream, I see it everywhere, so I'm not going to buy it. I'm going to find something more unknown, more underground. Had my wife and I be this insecure and constantly feel the need to act and be superior to everyone else, we would have bought a more unknown couch. Trend comes and go. In a year or two, the Togo will not be trendy anymore. Would you buy it then, when it's not popular? I refuse to let external forces factor into what I like and buy. Rejecting trend is affecting your choices. That is a trend. The people buying the Togo to catch on to the trend is looking for validations from the masses. The people choosing not to buy the Togo despite loving it and wanting it for so long are also seeking validation, but from the niche audience of rejecting trend. Same idea, different audience. My Instagram is full of people loving Rick, so seeing the Kiss boot, super normal. I get compliments on them all the time because I'm in this insulated echo chamber. We established that those ISIS individuals spend the most time online because they're not happy, so they're just constantly responding to negative comments that are echoing in the community, constantly roasting people, trying to feel better. My friends and I, we don't spend that much time on social media. When we do, we're responding to friends, complimenting each other. We simply look past content we don't like because it would take too much effort, too much time out of our days to comment and prepare to engage in a battle of words. With strangers, by the way, that will ultimately lead to nothing. A lot of people will not admit that they're wrong. For some, they know they're wrong. They're just trolling the troller at this point. Hate or negativity is more memorable. This is why the news exists. For people who hasn't made up their minds, they would choose to be as cynical as these people because they see that these comments gets more interaction, more approval. We're all seeking approval. We're all seeking validation from someone. I'm seeking validation with this video. They make a hate comment, get reinforced by the likes and the agreement comments. They will continue to do this. When they see something they like, they simply keep it shut because it will look out of character. This is called the sunk cost fallacy. This is pretty well known. This phenomenon is when a person is reluctant to abandon a strategy or course of action because they have invested heavily in it, even when it's clear that abandonment would have been more beneficial. This is more towards stocks, but we can apply this to attitude as well. They are known for being a negative person who only comment negative things. You can't break character. Think Instagrammers who only show off rich lifestyle, or relationship couple accounts who never fight. Even when they're struggling financially, even when they're fighting with their partner, they will fake it because they're too deep into it. Breaking that spell might cause their audience to turn on them, so they're stuck on this loop forever. Now with this outfit, I wasn't rage baiting. I was conducting an experiment. I meticulously chose these items that would draw out the cynics with the superiority complex, individual who appointed themselves gatekeeper who links their self-worth to CCP. I know some of you would not be able to stomach even the slightest disruption to your echo chamber. I was fully aware that some of you, even if you knew it was a joke, would not be able to take it. It would be sacrilegious to speak about Carol's work without removing humor from the conversation. The creations of Carol mocks the conventional beauty of mainstream aesthetics, so we must be serious when we discuss his work. The daily dick sucking of Carol must be serious. No laughter is allowed. As Carol mocks the mainstream, I am mocking his audience. I am mocking you. Yes, this outfit is a joke, but the intention is anything but a joke. How sensitive must you be after seeing hundreds of sheep-like CCP-approved uniform propagate on your feed that this lone absurdity managed to rattle you? On the off chance that this man, me, is serious about this outfit, you could not resist the urge to expose your superiority complex. This is what you do in your little but cynical community. One sheep venture out to the outside world, bring back a photo of people wearing Supreme, and you all start mocking this individual. You could not resist the urge. This is the norm, is it not? You believe yourself to be enlightened, so you must mock people in the cave that they're seeing the shadows of what is truly going on. Now who is not taking fashion seriously enough? Me or you? That paragraph took me a decent amount of time to write because I wanted to imbue it with as much condescension as I can. Of course, some people did see it as a joke, which is nice. We all laughed about it. We can talk a bit about nostalgia and tying it to their struggle to get acceptance into the community, their long, hard-fought struggle to gain the Rick Kiss boot, the CCP you sold, the Louis Vuitton varsity jacket. The boomers look back at their struggle to pay back the college student loan with pride. They had a task, they did it. Seeing that the government wants to simply wipe the loan away from the millennials and Zoomer, it hurts them because they don't think it's fair. Gatekeepers see struggling as a necessity, a bit like frat hazing. Some Rick enthusiasts are probably mad at me because they don't think I struggle enough and now I own all of these great items. To that I say, why are you pocket watching me? Do you want to put your hands in the pockets? We read the definition of SE together earlier. It stemmed from insecurity. I read this on Quora while searching for the site term, and I found this. The essence of confidence is the capacity to be in vulnerable situation and be comfortable with that vulnerability. I thought that was a great line. These newcomers threaten their self-worth as discussed extensively throughout this video. Push newcomer away, the community say the same. Change is scary, I get that. Instead of celebrating their favorite brand getting a new fan, they become resentful toward the new fan. I actually researched into how to overcome superiority complex, how to be less bitter, how to approach life with less cynicism. Told you I tried to bring that word up. Anyway, my goal isn't to change these individuals, so we're not going to do that. They probably left a negative comment on this video without finishing it because one of the points infuriated them so much that they can't go past it. The true intention of this video is to warn those newcomers about what they will encounter when they enter the avant-garde scene. Again, I am talking about the loud minority, the ISIS of the avant-garde scene. You will encounter people like me who enjoy sharing and talking about fashion. The experience I had with the CCP community could have made me disillusioned with the brand. By the way, yes, disillusion is my favorite word. I was watching Prometheus and this scene.
Why do you think your people made me? We made you because we could. Can you imagine how disappointing it would be for you to hear the same thing from your creator?
I still like CCP. I wear the tornado boots all the time. I would have worn this bison leather jacket if I hadn't been scammed. Watch that video? It's funny to me now, not that sad anymore. There were a lot of nice individuals in the CCP Discord who taught me a thing or two about the CCP world. I tried to forget about the bad eggs of the CCP people, but it seems that they continue to be pieces of dog shit that I stepped on with my boots that refuse to come off. Again, I say, if any of these points made you angry, it's on you. I didn't say any names. I'm talking macro here. I'm overgeneralizing a lot of things. I might have pulled a few of those hate comments, but had you not leave those negative comments, you wouldn't be in this video. I did try my best though to, not let a few bad eggs make me think the whole community is bad. However, if a community tolerates this kind of behavior, what does that say about a community? My name is Makasy. This video has been a bit too serious, too dark, so let's end it with this. Boobies.